Hello everyone, my name is Ashraf Islam. So today my topic is the two-tier application deployment automation using the GitLab CI/CD. So moving on, we'll be talking about the what is the GitLab CI/CD. So GitLab CI/CD, this is a feature of the GitLab that allow us to automate the process of building, testing, and the deploy our code using the continuous integration, which is we know CI, and the continuous deployment, which is like CD pipeline. So that the developer mostly use this to define the stage and the jobs for the CI/CD pipeline in the configuration file. We call it like a .gitlab hyphen ci dot yml. So GitLab CI/CD is offers the parallel job dependencies catching and the integration with the number of deployment tools. By using the GitLab CI/CD, it help us as a team to automate our deployment workflow and improving the collaboration and the ensuring the code quality and the fast and the reliable the deployment. And in the CI/CD, we have like two type of the continuous delivery and the continuous deployment. And those are the two of the software engineer practice that mostly aim for the automated and streamline the process of releasing the code changes to the production. So while they both sound similar, but they both have two different like a job to do. So for the when do changes for the release. So on the one part, like the continuous delivery, this is the practice of the automatically preparing the code changes for the release to the production of the application, and it involves the automating the entire pipeline from the deployment to the staging and the release to the production is still require until we have the manual approval from the business or the like project owner. And after the continuous deployment is the next step after the continuous delivery, and it take the automating one step further by the automatically deploying our code to the production as soon as possible it pass the automated test in the pipeline. So moving on, our today our agenda will be first creating the since this is will be using the AWS clouding, so we'll be creating the Bayesian host for the EC2 instance and the automated the installation of the prerequisite. So we'll be creating installing the AWS CLI, kubectl, and the kctl by using the shell script, and then we'll be creating the Kubernetes cluster. Then after that, we'll be import the two-tier application by using the CI/CD project into our own GitLab account. And then we'll be add the Docker Hub credential and the AWS CLI credential in the project GitLab. And then we'll be add the backend deployment and backend services for the front-end deployment and the front-end service YML files into our deployment directory, and then we'll be write a like GitLab hyphen ci dot yml file to run our the GitLab CI/CD, and then we'll be creating two stages for the building and the deployment, and we'll be creating the jobs for this stage to automating our GitLab CI/CD pipeline, and at the end we'll be viewing the two-tier application deployment using the GitLab CI/CD in the action. So moving on, we'll be going to the hands-on practice. So first, I'm right now I'm in the AWS dashboard, and I'm currently using the US East one, which is the North Virginia region. And now I'll be going to the launch instance. So I'll be creating the one of the Bayesian hosts. So I'll give a name as a Bayesian, and our AMI will be the Ubuntu, and everything default should be good, and the instance type like T2 micro should be good since we are not using the heavy lifting resources. And the key pair for the login part, we can create a new one, and then we can give name as a CI/CD and create a new key pair. And the network part, by default, everything should be good and the storage should be good. And what I do, I'll click on the launch instance. So as you can see, our version post is creating. So we have to wait until this one is in a green color. So this one I can turn on. Okay, as you can see, so this one is running right now. So what I do, I have to copy the IP address for to run our server into the mobile storm. So this is the mobile storm. So what I do, I will have to SSH into the mobile storm, and I paste the IP address. Then the default name will be Ubuntu, and I'll be using the private key, which will be the CICD PAM. Okay, you can see now inside this server. So next thing I have to do is the install the AWS CLI and the kubectl and the EKCTL. So for that, first I need to create one of the shell script file. So we can give name as install.sh. And inside this, we have to give everything like so we use the sudo apt update. It will be update all the dependency for the our server. Then it will be, since our AWS CLI is in the zip file, so we have to install the unzip. And then this is the part for the AWS CLI installation. And so whenever we go to the AWS official like documents, so we can get all the code. And we choose the installation as a Linux. And this part is for the kubectl installation, and same thing goes for the EKCTL installation. So what I'll do is I will be save and quit this one. And if I do -l, you can see the file, the shell script file wouldn't have the executed permissions, only have the read and write permission. So for that, I have to give the change permission to the execute. For that, I can use this command chmod.s and the file name. So if I do the -l again, you can see now my shell script file has the execute permission right now. So what I'll do is I have to run this script. So for that I do // and install.sh. So now it will be install AWS CLI, the kubectl and the KCTL. So while running this one, the next thing I have to do is the authenticate my credential. For that, in the meantime, I will go to the IAM, so identity access management, and here I'll be creating one of the user. So I'll be use the create user, and I can give the name as a we can give name as a CICD, since this will be the, and the permission I'll be attached place directory and the admission access, and click on next. And I'll just click on the create user, and you can see now I have the user for the CICD. And I next have to do create a access key. So for that, we click on the security credential and create access key, and this for the AWS CLI and confirmation. And this is the description is optional. So now we have the access key. So as you can see, our installation is everything I think is installed. So to verify, we can do the AWS version. So this install AWS CLI is installed. And for the kubectl, we can do kubectl version. So our kubectl also install it. So then last thing is the EKSCTL version. So our EKCTL version is also installed. So if I do the AWS S3 LS, you can see it's giving me error for the unable to locate the credential. So for that, I have to configure the AWS. So for that, I can do AWS configure. And now it's asking for the AWS access key, so which I can get from the here. And I can paste the access key here. Now I ask for the secret access key, which is this one. So the default region I'll be using the US East one, and the output will be the JSON. So if I do the AWS S3 LX now, you can see I'm not getting any error right now. So our AWS CLI is configured. So the next thing part I will be have to create the cluster for that. So now I have to create a one of the YML file. So we can say beam cluster dot YML. So inside this, we can use one of these template for creating the cluster. And we can do some adjustment here. So for example, like change the cluster name. So I can give the name as the so this is in my time is February 1st. So I can do the February 1st EKS. And here, so this is the cluster complete. The cluster name is the February 1st, the EKS, and the region is the US East one. Version is 1.27, and the node group. And this is the node group, and instance type will be T2 medium, and the capacity will be 3, and the volume size will be 20 gigabyte. And this as on with the AWS EBS CSI driver. So everything looks good. Save and quit. So next thing I have to do, I have to run this cluster. For that, I do EKS CTL create cluster -f cluster.oml. So this will take like probably 10 to 15 minutes. So I have to wait until this is done. So we have to wait until this cluster is successfully created. So let's wait until this one done. So while this cluster is creating, I can just go to our GitLab and import our project. For that, I can click. So this is my GitLab like landing page. So click go to the project and click on the new project. And we'll be using the import the project and repository URL. And here I'll be using this URL to clone the project. So this is the URL. And here I can rename the project name. So I can give name, for example, the two-tier application, then CI/CD. I think that should be good. So I pick my username and the public. So two-tier application CI/CD. So everything should look good. So click on create project. So our cluster is still like creating, so let me just work on this part. So as you can see, my project is cloned. So next thing I have to do is the add the variable. So for that, go to the setting and go to the CI/CD, and here in the variable, and I don't have any variable right now. So what I do is add the variable, and the visibility we can should max it, and this is not protected variable, so just uncheck this one. And the key, so the next thing I have to do is, so this is the Docker password. So let me just unshare for now. So let me just put my password for the Docker Hub. So you can see the Docker Hub password is variable is created. So next thing I have to add another variable, and it should be the same thing, the max, uncheck the protect variable, and key will be AWS access key, and the value will be from here. So this is the access key. We just copy and paste this one. So this one added, so I have to add another variable, and the name will be secret access key, and we get the secret access key from here and paste it. And lastly, we have to add another variable, so this will be max, same thing, and this is for the AWS default region, and the value will be US East 1, add variable. You can see right now we have the 4 of the variable is created. So next thing I have to do, go back to the project, and here I have to edit the web IDE, and then so it will be load up the project in the editor. So here what I'll do is delete the deployment folder, and then I have to rename the backend name, and same thing for the front end as well. And then I have to rename the Docker file, remove the prod, and then same thing for the front end as well. Okay, so here from the Docker, so this is the backend Docker file. So I have to remove some of the thing from here. So for example, so it's Python. So and then we can remove this part, and is the work directory from the /add, and then we'll be removing this part as well since we don't need it, and we can remove this part as well. So it will be copy, and we can remove this. So it will be copy the requirement from the requirements.txt. So those line we remove it because all this thing is inside this requirement.txt, and then it will be run pip install -r and the requirements.txt, and then it will be add, so add dot dot, and it will be exposed to the 5000 backend scmd flagsman -hyphen host equal to. Yeah, so this should be good. So we now have to go to the front end. So front end, I have the template. So let me just copy and paste. So from here, this is the Node.js project. So it will be run APK update and Node Sketch and the Python make G++, and it will be copy from the all source and go to the work directory /src and copy all the packages. And since this is the Node.js project, so it will be install the npm install, npm run build from the nginx latest version, and it will be remove all the nginx default file from this path, and it will be make a directory, and it will copy all the build stage file and paste it to there, and it will be copy the default compile and paste it into the com.d, and it will be exposed to the port 80. So next thing you have to do, I have to create a deployment folder. So we can do deployments. So inside this deployment, I can create one of the file, and okay. So create one of the file, we can name as the backend deployment.yml. Backend deployment.yml. And here we can use this template. So what this one do, it will be API version, apps version 1, and the deployment. And then it will be used in the metadata, the Python backend services, and the it will be creating the 3 of the replicas, which mean like 3 of the instance, and then it will be the Python backend services, same thing for the backend services, and the container, and we can give name for the image. We can give name. So my username, which is the Ashraful Islam slash, and we can give name as a February 1st, CICD hyphen backend, that is okay. Ashraful Islam February 1st, CICD backend. Yeah, this one should be good. So the next thing, have to create another file. So this will be the backend service.yml, and here I will use the same have the template. So this is the API version 1, and the kind is services metadata Python backend service, run the Python and the node port, and the port is a 5000, protocol is TCP, and the sector app Python backend service. So the next thing I have to do same thing for the front end as well. So I'll be creating so this will be the front end deployments, front end deployment or YML, and I'll be using the same template I have. And here I can use the image. So this will be deployment and front end deployment replica set, which is like the instance will be 3, So whenever like there is any load for the application, so it will be automatically created three of the instance as a front-end deployment, and the container is a front end, and the image is this one of the whole favorite press the ICD front end lattice, and the container port is the AD. And lastly, for the deployment, I have to create another one, so that will be the front end service dot yml. So front end service yml. So here will be the API version is the version 1, the front end node port 1, and the node port, and the component is the front end deployment, and port is 80, target 80, and the node port is the 3006. And lastly, to run this GitLab CI/CD, I have to create one of the file, which is called the .gitlab -ci.yml. So inside this, I have to create couple of things for the build version and the deployment. So we can give this name as a stages, and here we can give the build, and then it will be deploy. And then we'll be using this Docker build and the backend. So this will be the build our backend. So we do the stage. Stage will be the build. The image will be the Docker lattice, and the services will be the Docker then dint, and then we'll be doing a script. So the script will be the Docker build -t tag, and it will be the backend, and then we can do the Docker tag backend, and the username will be the Ashraful Islam hyphen, so I can copy the backend deployment project name. So it should be so Docker tag, the backend is a username Ashraf Islam, and the image name is the February 1st, the CI/CD backend, and the lattice. And then we can do the echo and the $sign, and we can do the Docker hub, and then the password, and the Docker login -u in user, and the Ashraf full Islam, and the password is the STDIN. So it will be using the password from the variable we added. So we do same thing for the front end as well. So let me just copy and paste. So Docker build, so this will be the front end, and it will be the build and the Docker latest, Docker named, and script will be Docker build -d. So it will be the front end and front end, front end, front end, and the Docker tag. So this will be the from the front end. So this will be from the front end, and the username is Ashraful, and the favorite process series, and this will be the front end, and the echo the Docker hub password, and the Docker login yo password. So everything should be good. So next thing I have to do is deployment with the backend Kubernetes. So we can do the deploy and the backend and the QK8s. So here will be the stage, will be the deploy, and then image will be the we can use the beer engineer slash AWS CLI kubectl. And then we'll be using the script. So the script AWS EKS and the update, and it will be using the kube config, and the region will be US East 1, and the name, so the our cluster name. So let me check the, so our cluster is still waiting, so let me just wait until the cluster is created. So let me go back to the formation so I can see. Oh, so our cluster is created. So if I do the, so if I go do the EKS CTL get cluster, so I can get the cluster name, which is the February 1st EKS. So let me go back. So name, February 1st, EKS. Okay, then next will be the kubectl apply -f the deployments and the backend. So it will be deploy the backend deployment .yml -f and the deployments hyphen the backend services .yml and then kubectl, and it will be roll out the restart -f the deployments and the backend deployment .yml. So same thing for the front end as well. Let me just copy and paste. Oh. So this will be the front end. So front end Kubernetes stage will be deployed via engineer AWS CLI kubectl script AWS EKS update kubeconfig and region the US East 1 and the name will be February 1st EKS, so which is the EKS cluster name, and then kubectl apply -f deployment, and it will be deploy the backend, the front end deployment.yml and the -f the deployments, and it will be deploy the front end service .yml and the kubectl roll out and it will be registered the -f the deployments / the it will be deploy the front end deployment yml. It should be good. So before I commit everything, let me check our nodes is running kubectl get nodes. Our nodes also running. So let me just go back and commit all the changes. So I can commit all the changes and you can give this message as a creator the CI CD pipeline for the Cloudtier application. Commit and push to the master. So I hope it should be working successfully. So let me go back and refresh the page. Okay, now I get the first error. So there should be problem is here. So let me check. So the message is the stage complete should be okay. Got it. So stage. So let me add one thing. So this is the so February 1st CICD, and then the February 1st CICD. So let me go back to the deployment backend. February 1st CICD backend. Okay. So let me go back. And then same thing, February 1st CICD. February 1st CICD. And the cluster name is the February 1st EKS. February 1st EKS. So everything should be good now. Front end, February 1st CICD. Okay, let me commit again. Fix the why not? So let me go back. So this is the one thing you can automate. So whenever you have any error, so it's gonna show in the pipeline. So this is the part you have to fix it. So now is everything is running again. So we can see if we get all pass. So it's still building for the backend. Okay, copy required at least programmer, but only provided. Okay, so let me go back to the so it's for the backend. So copy. So it's saying the line 8 rubber file page line 8. Copy values to available by one was available by complete. Okay. So there was an arrow here. So copy requirement .txt. So work directory -f. So let me try to fix this one. So I forgot to give the dot at the end, so that's why I was getting arrow. So hopefully this one also fix. So fix the backend Docker file error. So whenever you do any changes for the error you get, so it's better to give the messages so you can know what part you work on. So let me go back again. And now it's still running. So I hope this time I don't get any error. So it's still loading, so it's checking everything. And if there is any error, the pipeline fine, it will show. Okay, so our backend is succeed. So let's go to the front end. So front end will be take a little bit of time since this one has a heavy resources. Since this is the like a JSON project, so you have to install and run the CI npm and build the npm. So if I refresh the Docker Hub, I'll see the backend page. So you can see the backend and frontend page is showing, which mean our frontend also succeeded. Yeah. Now it's deploying the project. Okay, now it's got error in the deployment. Does not exist. Okay, so let me go back. So deployment, the backend backend deployment .yml. Backend deployment. So it says deployment and the backend deployments .yml does not exist. So deployment and the backend deployment. Backend deployment. I forget to give the P. So there should be deployment. Okay, so now it should be fixed. I can't. Okay, so let me go back and rerun the pipeline. So now it's gonna rerun the pipeline again. So I think this should, right now it should be good now. Our backend is fast, so our content will be fast now. So let me refresh. Let me refresh, and yeah, now our everything is fast. So next thing I have to do, I have to go back to the C2 instance and check one of the our like configure the C2 instance security group to like run our application. So we can choose any of the cluster nodes. So let me just choose the second one. So here I click on the security, and we have to adjust the inbound rule. So click on the edit inbound rule. We can remove the old one, add a new rule, and it will be all traffic, and the custom source will be anywhere. So we can do the same thing for the second part. Edit the inbound rule, remove the existing default one, and choose the all traffic and custom IP4. So okay, so this one is created. So what I'll do is I will choose any of the IP address from any of the nodes and try to run into our browser to see if you have any our application is deployed or not. So we can test it here. And we can use the port 3006. So you can see our application is running. So this is our front end. So we can check if our backend is running now. Yeah, our backend is running also. And to verify, we can inspect and network. We can do we can see we getting the 200 status. So and same thing for the summonation, we're also getting the same thing for the 200 status. So this is the basically that's how we deploy the application by using the GitLab CI/CD. And thank you for it.